Hey everyone, I'm Erin, this is the Cardboard Republic, and this is a to be played video. We are going to tell you about the games that we did play in June, and what we're hoping to play in July. Here we go. June was a busy month, I think busier than we thought, but we still did pretty well. Our game of the month was Tau Ceti, which is this really big 4X space game. The catch with Tau Ceti, though, is that it tends to focus less on the extermination part of your typical 4X space game, like think Twilight Imperium. So less on the extermination and more on the exploration and even sometimes collaboration. So even players like me who aren't necessarily into being super aggressive all the time have a place in Tau Ceti. So that's really cool. And I actually am still trying to play this one, but Ryan did play it with a whole bunch of our friends and kind of mixed reviews, but I think it went better the second time. It definitely seems like one of those games where the first time you play it, it's going to be a challenge. There's just a lot to it. It's like any big game. So I want to play it now that they've worked out the kinks and I can come in and have a nice smooth experience. Beasts of Balance was our next game. And you might remember this from our last video because I got super pumped over the little octopus creature that is in this box. Beasts of Balance is more of a kind of electronic game with a physical component tie-in. You have this central plinth, and on it you are placing all of these little beast figures and other sorts of gem style things in order to create life in this land. The life in the land is all simulated through an app, which is pretty cool. The whole thing is really cool. It's just the more we played it as we sat down and we're figuring it out and really going through it, the more we kind of wondered what the game part really is. And not to get into a whole discussion of what is and isn't a game and what's an activity and what is art. That's not for right now. And that's not my conversation. But this Beasts of Balance was an experience, and there are gamey elements to it. But I am still not sure if this is gonna be what I pull out when I'm like, I really want to play a pretty dexterity game. Because even though there was that balancing component, it just didn't really feel like a game. And that's interesting. I don't know if it's that so much of it was electronic, or if it's that you're not really competing against either each other or even really against the app itself. I'm not sure what it was about Beasts of Balance. I still think it's absolutely beautiful, and I want to display all of the little plastic figures on my shelves, but I don't know that I really want to play it too often. The next game, I guess you could also make that same argument for, though. Is this a game? Is it an experience? Is it an activity? It's Exit the Secret Lab. This was actually one of 2 Exit games we played this month. We also did the Pharaoh's Tomb, and both were really interesting. I love escape games. I love them so much. So the Secret Lab was really fun. It was a little bit simple. We found that, it was just a matter of, hey, we know mostly what to do, we just have to go and do it. But unlike a lot of other escape games that I've played, it wasn't so easy that you could look at a puzzle and immediately know exactly what was happening and exactly what you had to do and basically solve it in 5 seconds. You actually did have to think about these a little bit. So I really liked this. The Pharaoh's Tomb one, I was a little more mixed on because I felt like the puzzles were more challenging, which was good, but there were some times where we were encountering parts of puzzles that we hadn't yet been given the ability to solve, if that makes sense. Like, we weren't in the space where we should have been finding those puzzles, but somehow we were finding those puzzles. And so that, it felt a little like maybe things we weren't doing something correct. I'm not sure. But the Secret Lab was really, really fun. There's another one in the series that I'm looking forward to trying. I think what we're gonna do is get 2 copies, and Ryan and I are gonna race to see who can escape the room first. I'm excited because I'm really competitive, so I'm gonna win. And then there's Honshu. Honshu is a game that I've been told I needed to play forever. Not forever, it hasn't been out that long, but like for a while. And I finally did. Honshu is a cool game about taking these cards that are divided up into 6 little squares. Every square has, you know, a lake or part of a city or a forest or a factory or so on and so forth. And you are laying these cards down in front of you to try to build the biggest lake, the biggest city, the most forest, so on and so forth. Typical city builder in that sense. What's interesting is that the way you actually get these cards is through this cool auction system where numbers that are on the cards tell what position you're gonna be in the auction, and then you pick a card and you put it down, and it has to like overlap the other cards, but you have to do that strategically. Honshu was really, really fun, and I was awful at the first game, and then I was like, ooh, I get this. And then I was great at the other times I played it, and so I want to play it more and more and more and win. I want to win. I want to win. Alien Frontiers was our replay game. So that was the game that we had played before. We wanted to play it again, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, we had forgotten how long Alien Frontiers is if you play it with 5 people, especially adding in some of the expansions. Even though everyone at the table had played before, this game dragged so much. I can't even tell you. At the end, I mean, not even at the end, in the middle, we were like, we need to end this game. And people were taking actions, not necessarily to win anymore, but just to get the game to the end. Most of us stopped caring if we won at all because we just wanted to go home and go to bed. It was like 11 o'clock and we didn't know what had happened to our night. We were supposed to play another game after this and we were like, God, no. So Alien Frontiers, we still had a lot of fun for the first like hour and a half, which is how long Alien Frontiers should last. But then for the rest of the game, we were dying. So Alien Frontiers, I mean, it counts as something that we played, but I want to play it again somewhat soon with maybe 3 people. Oh, no expansions, because I almost feel like I just fell off a horse and I need to get back on the horse like really fast, or I'm gonna be afraid of horses all my life. And I don't really need an Alien Frontiers phobia because 1, that's weird, and 2, there's no way Ryan's getting rid of it because he doesn't get rid of games. So it'll just be stuck being terrified of this thing that lives in my house all the time, like spiders, and I'm already afraid of spiders that live in my house all the time. So anyway, I'm afraid of spiders, and we played Alien Frontiers. Medieval Mastery was our card pull game. This was the game that we were supposed to play and review during June, and we did not. Not really for any particular reason this time. It's just that on the couple occasions where we did have evenings where Medieval Mastery would have been an option, we ended up having to go with something else for one reason or another, like Alien Frontiers taking 7 hours inexplicably, and then us needing to pass out. So I'm gonna put it back in the deck, but we are still hoping to play it soon. It wasn't really anything against the game that made us not play it. It was more, it just did not fit in to our schedule. So this is going to go back in the deck, which I will pull from again at the end of this episode. All in all, though, I think we did pretty well in June. Way better than we've done in the past few months, at least. I would like to say that it was because we developed some new strategy, like bringing all the games downstairs so we could see them, or like making a list and actually looking at it ever again. But we didn't. We lucked out. We picked some decent games that we all really wanted to play, and then we played them. And maybe that is the secret, is just actually playing games. The more you know. But let's move into July. I'm excited for July. We have a really good lineup. We also have a little thematic surprise, and I love those. But first, our game of the month is Nemo's War. This is a solo game, or it can be played solo. It's designed by people who design a lot of solo games. I'm planning on playing it solo. It is all about Captain Nemo and his adventures in the Nautilus, and I never read that book, but Ryan did, and he tells me that I should have because I always wanted to read it, but then I always remembered that the Nautilus was not referring to an animal like the Shelley Nautilus thing. It was referring to the ship, and then I was like, that's stupid. And so I never read it. If it had been about the animal, I would have read it like 5 times by now. But that said, I am really looking forward to the game. In the game, you're playing out an adventure on Captain Nemo's Nautilus with these like story cards and everything. Totally my jam. So that's definitely going to get played because it's a miracle I'm not playing it right now. The only reason is that Ryan told me we really need to get this video out because it's like halfway through July. So Nemo's War, that is our first game. We are gonna nail it. And then there's a game that Ryan is as excited about as I am about Nemo's War. Lisboa. Lisboa is about rebuilding the city of Lisbon after the Great Fire, and also about accumulating wigs, which is the best victory point system I've ever encountered. So you are trying to rebuild the city and get the shops open and so on and so forth. Typical resource management, heavy Eurogame. And I mean, like, literally this box is enormous and really heavy. All for wigs, and the player with the most wigs at the end wins. And so I'm also pretty excited for this one, but only because I plan on making wig jokes all night. I have a lot of them. Macroscope is next on our list. This is another new one that we just got in. It is really clever. So the box to Macroscope has several tokens across it. Inside of the box are all of these tiles, and the tiles have these line drawings on them. So one might be, for instance, a Nautilus shell. You, during your turn, roll some dice. The dice tell you which tokens you can remove from the box. When you remove a token, it reveals a little hole in the box. You look through that hole and see if you can figure out what the picture is. If you guess, and you guess correctly, you get some awesome points based on however many like little spots were revealed at that time. I don't know what happens if you fail. I don't plan on failing, so I didn't look. But this seems really, really cool, but also maybe really hard or really easy. And I don't know. I think it's probably a good one to play with children. We're probably going to play it with a bunch of adults who may or may not have been drinking. It's like the same thing. So I'm excited for Macroscope. We'll see whether I'm still excited after I play Macroscope. Keeping with our nautical theme, which wasn't really a theme, but I decided to make it one because everything in my life has a nautical theme. So, Time Stories, Expedition Endurance, is about the expedition to the Arctic on the old sailing ships, and I love this theme so much. You don't even understand. It's like haunted houses and old-timey expeditions to the Arctic are the two things. I will see any movie, I will play any game, I will read any book. I have read some really bad books solely because they take place on a ship going to the Arctic. So when I say that I'm excited, I can't even say how excited I am. I've heard that this iteration of Time Stories isn't even, the best one. I don't care. Normally with Time Stories, I get bored after like 3 times through because you've figured out exactly what you have to do and the order that you have to do it. And at that point, you're kind of just trying to make your path as efficient as possible to complete everything you need in the time allotted. You're no longer exploring. I don't care anymore because I want to spend as much time as I can on this ship going to the Arctic. Old-timey wooden ship going to the Arctic. So cool. Get it? It's cool because it's going to the Arctic. Because it's July now, we decided we had to go with something thematic. Happy birthday, America. Let's play some Hanabi. I know. Hanabi's not like... I know, but it's fireworks, and what's more American than blowing things up in the sky? So Hanabi, in case you don't know, this is our replay game. We played it a lot before. We're gonna play it again. It is that clever little card game where you have a hand of cards that you're holding out in front of you, but you can't see any of them. Everyone else can see them, and you have to give hints to your fellow players to tell them what's in their deck so that they can put the right card on the right pile in the center of the table. You've all probably played something similar, at least. There are several games that use that same mechanic. I really like Hanabi, depending on who I'm playing with. It's one of those games that, like, it can get kind of vicious when you don't expect it to get kind of vicious, but it's like, oh, well, I told you this. You should have understood. You're like, I didn't understand. You didn't say anything. You just stared at me. And so Hanabi can be mean, but it's also a lot of fun. And it seemed like we needed to have some fireworks in July. That's a thing we do. Hanabi. So now our card pull. I'm putting Medieval Mastery back in here, like I said I would, because I would never lie to you. Probably. And then I'm gonna shuffle, while Ryan probably plays some embarrassing music over me shuffling, because I'm so bad at it. All right, good enough, good enough. We're fine. It's shuffled, cutting the deck. I pull Medieval Mastery again, I swear to God. This game's easy! It's Qwixx! Qwixx is such a simple game, and I'm really excited because that makes it so much easier to get this done. Qwixx is a roll and write game. It's actually one of the roll and writes that was popular before, like, Twitter made roll and writes popular again. So Qwixx, you like roll these dice and they have colors on them and you cross out numbers and stuff, and I played it once or twice. I did really poorly at it, but I think I've played several roll and writes since. I think I have that in my head a little bit more about how that works. So Qwixx is what we're gonna play, and we totally can, and then review it. I don't know how we're going to review it because it's like a bunch of colored dice and a pad of paper. This seems like it would be good for the podcast, but we will review it. It'll just probably be a short review. So Qwixx, I'm excited that worked out really well for us this time. So that's what we have planned in July. It actually seems like a pretty manageable month for us, which is good because maybe we can keep up with this streak where we play most of the games that we say we're gonna play. Wild, I know. Anyway, that is July. Please let us know what you're planning on playing during the month of July. We like to see what you guys are up to. And as always, hit the like and subscribe button. You can find us on Twitter at Cardboard News, over at cardboardrepublic.com. And if you like what we're doing, check out our Patreon. We will be back again really soon with more stuff for you. Bye.